Here with more, the author of Never Give an Inch, former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, and former Director of National Intelligence John Ratcliffe. Thank you both. Secretary of State Pompeo, you wrote about President Xi in your book, which is now a bestseller. You had a lot to say about him, and you found him to be far less personable than other, world dictators like Putin and Kim Jong-un and some others. Tell us what you thought when you met with President Xi.
Yeah, Sean, thanks for having me on. He was dead-eyed. He was evil. He never had a nice word. There was no idea that he might possibly compromise, and there was never any idea that he would be telling us the truth, much like they've lied about the Wuhan virus and its ability to transmit from humans to humans, much like they lied about this weather balloon. Xi Jinping was the toughest, evilest guy that I encountered in my entire time, and the most difficult person, and also the most capable. With 1.4 billion people, a big military, space program, this is a serious threat. And if there's one thing you can see from this spy balloon incident, he is testing the United States of America in every dimension.
Secretary Pompeo, let me ask you this, because they were saying there were at least 3 incidents where a balloon flew into U.S. territory under President Trump's term in office. Quote, the Wall Street Journal said they were much shorter in duration. They didn't know at the time. It was undetected at the time. One official said much of the information on the flights was pieced together much, much later. Is that even possible? And did you ever hear of any such incident when you were Secretary of State or CIA Director?
Well, let's just put that second one to bed. I never heard of anything like this. I never briefed President Trump on anything like this. I never had anybody on my team, and I've talked to several of them over the last couple of days saying, hey, anything you forgot to tell me? Nobody saw a balloon the size of 3 balloons travel across a bunch of our states over 5 days at any time during our administration. As for now, they're changing their story. It's difficult to tell. Now they say there were incursions that were undetected, they've pieced together. Maybe that's possible, but there is an awful lot of explaining to do. And frankly, it's in some ways beside the point. President Biden had an opportunity to protect America in a simple way and chose not to do that.
And Director Ratcliffe, you have already gone on the record also saying at no time did you or anybody that you knew when you were working in the Trump White House had ever heard that such an incident ever occurred. Is that true, sir?
Yeah, I mean, every former Trump national security official has said the same thing. And as Mike pointed out, the Biden story keeps changing, the alibis keep changing, and now they've gone from intimating that we weren't telling the truth to admitting that we were, with the explanation that you gave, Sean, which is that no one knew, and somehow the best intelligence community, the best intelligence enterprise in the world somehow missed this for years, but miraculously in the past week they have pieced it together to find 3 incidents. But I would say this, Sean, is they're trying to have you focus on a shiny object, but their own description of what they say these instances were, and I've heard that they've tried to recharacterize UAP or UFO sightings and call them Chinese balloons, whatever they may be. Their description of them underscores the fact that it's not even in the same zip code as the national security blunder that happened this week. They're talking about potential incidents or minor incursions where something briefly transited U.S. airspace for seconds or minutes. Compare that to a transcontinental voyage by a Chinese spy craft that went over ICBM missiles, that went over U.S. Strategic Command, went over the home of the B-2 bomber, went over the Oak Ridge National Laboratories, and exited over the ports of South Carolina. By the way, the ports that we would be using to support any conflict with China over Taiwan. I mean, these things are not comparable under any circumstances, even if you assume everything they say to be true, which I don't, and I know Mike doesn't either.
Secretary Pompeo, I am having a hard time putting this together in my mind because it doesn't make any sense to me at all whatsoever. How is it that the President of the United States knew that this balloon was flying over the state of Alaska, where you have a lot of empty terrain there, and allowed this balloon to continue through Canada, back down to Idaho, and across and up and down the country, all the way across to the East Coast? How is that possible? Does that make any sense to you at all?
It is, Sean, confounding. It is unexplainable to me. I now understand they're saying there may have been explosives. That is, the Chinese may have been able to blow this thing up themselves. And so imagine that. If you knew that and you still let it go and the Chinese could decide where to drop this thing, I think they didn't understand risk. The risk to the United States was this balloon transiting. Even if they were able to stop some of the signals that were being collected, the fact that the whole world saw America on its back, feckless, watching a Chinese balloon traverse our country, that hurts our geopolitical standing in ways that are, well, they're as devastating as what happened to the 13 Americans who were killed in Afghanistan. Our friends don't trust us, Sean, and our adversaries aren't going to fear us if we allow things like this to happen. It is totally unexplainable.
Director Ratcliffe, can you explain why in any way this was not accomplished and this balloon was not taken out of the sky when it was hovering above the Alaska terrain? Why wasn't this taken out immediately once they entered our airspace?
No one has given a good explanation for that. In fact, the excuses that they have given have all fallen apart. Obviously, we're all concerned about the safety of Americans, but, we're talking about places like Montana that has, 7 people per square mile. So those things, really make no sense, and there's no credibility to what they're asserting. This is all spin to try and avoid the fact that we just all watched with our own eyes in plain sight a national security blunder where for 4 straight days, 100 consecutive hours, our enemy's spycraft hovered over the United States and all of our sensitive facilities and critical infrastructure, and this administration sat there paralyzed, either afraid to do something or too incompetent to do something about it.
Well, don't worry. The media is more focused again on Stormy Daniels. I'm sure that's more important in their minds. Secretary Pompeo, Director Ratcliffe, thank you both. Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.